So let's get it done. According to my records, we are ready for problem number 9 on practice test 3. So number 9, go to the restaurant, buy some food, it costs $16.75. Of course, we're going to add on a tax, and we're going to add on a tip. Would everybody agree that those are both add-ons? And that's important to know, because when you figure out what to multiply by, it's always 1 plus or 1 minus. So since they are add-ons, these are both going to be 1 plus. So 1.07, 1.15. Is everybody okay with that? So then we type it in on our trusty calculators. Make sure we are rounding correctly, because it will be points off if you don't. So let's just round correctly. Did you get $20.61? Done. Easy. Okay. How much, okay, what's my setup for problem 10? Amount times percent. So I'm going to have an amount of something. I'm going to add it to an amount of something else, and I'm going to get a final amount. So these are the two that are getting added together, and that's what I end up with. So, what are my percents in this problem? I always know those, so I can fill those in real easily. So I've got 23%, which is going to be 0.23. I got 52%, and I have 35%. Would everyone agree with that? Now, I also have this number, 30 ounces. That goes where? That's an amount, so it goes in one of these empty parentheses. Which one? It goes with the 52, because it says 30 ounces of times 52%. Okay, we're kind of in the habit, because every single one of our questions says how much. So we're kind of in the habit of putting an X right there. That's what I want to know. That's X, unknown. So now I have to figure out what the amount is of my final solution. Now think about what you're doing. You have X ounces, and you're adding in 30 ounces. So that's going to leave you with X plus 30 or 30 plus X.
30 on the other side, and then X.
This is D minus. Yep. Okay. Now we're going to solve it. And remember, you're on your own on Monday. So instead of just sitting there and waiting for me to do the work, go ahead and start working this out and making sure that you can get the right number. Don't forget over here where you got the 30 plus X, that's to distribute. And so then I got 42.5 ounces. How about you?
Yep.
Remember on your word problems, this is the only page you have to worry about, but make sure you label your answers. So whether it's cubic inches, or money, dollars, have a label on it. Okay, and finally, last year our book cost $123. This year it costs $134. And find the percent of increase. What's our strategy for this percent of increase?
Change over.
Subtract it, so I find the difference or the change. I know I'm using both words interchangeably. However they're different goes up here. The change in them, the difference in them, and then what was on the bottom?
123.
The original, the 123. So what's the change here? 11. Now, this, some of us are having a little issue with this. 11 divided by 123. I type it on my calculator. It literally says 0.0894308943. That's what it says. But I am supposed to be finding the percent. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is move that decimal point 2 places. That's how you get a percent. So it's 8.9430893. Then the directions say round to the nearest hundredth. So that means I gotta cut it off right here. So my answer is gonna be either 8.94 or 8.95. Which is it? 94, because 3 does not make us round up. That's the number that makes the difference. So the answer is 8.94% increase. What? If it says round and there's hundreds. Okay? All right, here we go. Now we have our graph page. Okay, so here's our baseline graph. It consists basically of 3 parts. It has this trapezoid. And then it has this triangle. And then it has this little upside down trapezoid. Okay, so that's my original picture. Okay. So the first problem says this. What do we do? What do we do? What does that do, Joseph?
Don't we mirror it?
We mirror it. This is the mirroring one. So whatever you have on the right of your picture, which in this case is just the trapezoid, draw it. Draw the trapezoid. Then draw the exact same picture on the other side. And that's the answer. That's how that transformation works. That's it. Now, what about the next one? You know, somebody is going to get these two confused on the test. You really have to pay attention. Where are the absolute values? If they, yes, over there they're on the outside, here they are on the inside, and they're different things. So what do we do when it's on the outside? Bottoms up. So what that means is, if it's on the top, like this trapezoid, it stays there. So that trapezoid is staying there. So is this triangle. Because if they're up, they stay up. But if they're on the bottom, they come up. There is the answer to that. So, Dane says, see that guy right there? He matters. He's He's gonna be upside down. I think it's a good idea myself, for you to just make a note like that, but you don't have to. You don't have to, but that helps remind me, I'm gonna turn this upside down. What else am I going to do,
It's
Sharon?
gonna be down one.
No,
Down the road.
no,
Look to the right.
it's gonna be right one. Noah, we gotta pay attention to what class? Whether the one is inside the parentheses or out. If it's inside the parentheses, we're moving left and right. Okay? Now, when you do this on your test, you have complete, I don't care, it doesn't, do whatever you want. Just make sure that I know what I'm grading. So if you wanna do it in 2 steps, which is what I like to do, then bring a colored pencil or a pen or something, so I know what it is. If you can do it all in 1 step, that's great too, doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it in 2. So I'm gonna take my whole picture and I'm gonna move everything over right 1. So that's really easy to do, don't overcomplicate it. Instead of starting at 1, 2, 3, 4, -5, I'm gonna start at -4. I'm going to draw exactly the same shape, so the trapezoid is 3 across, so now he looks like that. The triangle is 2 across, and then I got my big trapezoid. So there we go. Now, that's right, 1. Now I gotta turn him upside down. So instead of the trapezoid, his little trapezoid coming down, he's going to go up. That's easy for me to erase, but again, you don't need to worry about that unless you want to. Just make sure I know that green is your answer. Triangle comes down, and trapezoid comes down. Okay? Am I clear on that? Okay, D is going to be a disaster. Why do I say D is going to be a disaster? Does anybody know what's happening in D?
Oh, are we multiplying? Are we making it wider? Oh, yeah, we're making it wider.
Yeah, this guy is going to be 2 things. 2 things. What does this negative do?
Oh, flip it side.
That's a sideways flip. And what does that guy do? Divides the x's, divides the width. Now, some of you are thinking, you are dividing by 1/3, folks. How do we divide by 1/3? When you were in 4th grade, your teacher said, we don't divide by 1/3, we multiply by 3. So what we're really doing is timesing every x by 3. So now you understand why I made this wide? Because every x is getting times by 3. So if you look at, and, flipped. So, I don't know, let's start with this point right here. That is the point, 1, 2, 3, 4, -5, 0. So he's gonna become what point? Oh no, we're not flipping x and y, we're timesing the x by 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now he's out here at 15. You don't have to label it, but I will. Every x gets times by -3.
Oh, negative. Oh, negative.
Well, because this one is gonna flip to the other side, so will it be over here now?
Yeah.
Because of the negative. Joseph?
Is it okay if I label it, so it's like, each point is like a little, so like I made 1, 3, and then 2, 6.
Okay, you can do that here just because I didn't give you enough graph space, but I don't want you doing that in general.
Okay.
I get why it's necessary here, I just didn't plan well.
Mhm.
But I want you to really understand this thing has been stretched.
Yeah.
When you draw exactly what I drew and just relabel these, then you don't really get that sense that it's been stretched. But I did not leave you enough room at all. That's my fault completely. Okay, so let's just see if we can pay attention to what's going on. All right, so see this point right here? He was -4, -1. So now he's gonna be 12, -1. And this one was -3, -1, so he's gonna be 9, -1. And then -2 becomes 6. How does that look to everybody? Does that even make sense to you? If that's what I would see. So, cause it's been flipped to the other side and it's been massively stretched. Okay, so now my triangle. This is -1, 2. So he's gonna be at 3, 2. There's your triangle. And then my trapezoid. These x's are 1 and 2. So then they become 3 and 6. And he's gonna end at 12. Okay, so I promise on the test I won't give him one to stretch that much. All right, one more, and this test, this practice will be over. So what is the last score in here I need to do? Y equals 2 f of 2x. So this is going to be double the height, or y times 2, if that's the way you like to think about it. Doesn't matter. However you think about it, that's what's happening. And then what does this do?
It's shrinking it, so it's
It's half as wide,
as X.
so x divided by 2. So since I already have my points labeled, we could actually do this all at once. We're going to take our y times 2 and our x divided by 2. So what happens here at -5, 0? -2.5, 5 divided by 2, -2.5, 0. So -2.5, 0. Now what about this point? -2, -2.
Oh, yeah, 2,
So this one gets divided by 2, and this one gets times by 2. So that's gonna be -2, -2. Now you have this point, -3, -1. You're dividing by 2 and timesing by 2. So -1.5, -2. And this one was -2, 0. Divide by 2 times by 2. -1, 0, right? So there's our trapezoid, and I hope that makes sense to you. All right? Now how about this point? We're dividing by 2 and timesing by 2, so it's going to become -1/2, or and then 0, 0 won't change. That's good news. 0, 0 won't change. -1 divided by 2. Alright. So this is the 0.13, so we're gonna divide by 2 times by 2, so it's gonna become 1/2 6. Divide by 2 times 2, it's gonna become 1/6. And divide by 2 times 2 is gonna be 1.5. There it is. Nothing got flipped or anything like that, it just got stretched and switched. Okay? Alright, so that's it for the practice test. Does anybody have any last minute questions about a kind of problem that we are going to be required to know how to do? Megan? On the last practice test?
Yeah.
Yep.
Am I gonna move the decimal point?
Can't hear you, what?
Am I gonna move the decimal point on this problem, or is it gonna stay 0.089?
No, because you're gonna find the percent,
Okay.
so you gotta move the decimal.
So how many places?
Okay, so it's going to say, find the percent, so I need a percent there, and then it's gonna say round the nearest hundred. So if I type it into my calculator, and I'm making these numbers up, but let's say this is what I get when I type it on my calculator. First thing I do is make it a percentage. So now it's 84.3656. Then I round it to the hundredth. That number is 5 or bigger, so it's gonna cause this to go up to a 7. And my answer is gonna be 84.37% increase or decrease, whichever it is. Okay? Joseph?
So, for, like if it's inverse function.
So you're looking at practice test 3, which number are you looking at?
I'm looking at the answer for number 8B.
8B, what is the domain?
Oh, right. No, I'm looking at practice test 1.
Practice test 1,
Sorry.
8.
I had a question about the. So this is not simplified at all.
What answer did we get?
Negative 4x minus 5
Negative 4x minus 5,
over 2x.
2x minus 3. Okay, what kind of simplifying do you want to do?
The 4 and the 2.
So let's talk about that. Can we simplify, in this problem, can we reduce the 4 and the 2?
Yes.
No, because it's a 4-part problem, and if we're going to simplify, you gotta get them all. So, Joseph, if you had negative 4x minus 6 over 2x minus 8, absolutely you would take a 2 out.
So they both have
Everything. However many numbers are in the problem, just like those ones we looked at before, like this. We don't cancel there, that's a 3-parter. You gotta be able to cancel all 3 parts or don't cancel. Okay? All right, anything else? Okay, then I want everybody quiet and focused up here. I'm gonna ask you some questions. We are not wasting time. Some of you guys simply must get a really good grade on this test, and you know who you are. All right, so let's say I've got this problem. That's kind of big. Lots of changes happening. Okay? So tell me what changes have happened. What does this do?
Upside down.
That's upside down. Alright, what does that do? Twice as tall, so I'll say 2 times, twice as tall. Alright, what does this do?
Left 3.
Left 3,
Down 2.
2. Alright, perfect. So what if it's one of those where I draw figure 1 and I draw figure 2? And you have figured out that it has gone up 3, flipped sideways, and half as one. So you have looked at the picture and you've noticed that it's squished in this way, it's it's sideways, and it's been lifted up 3. Remember, you are starting always with this equation. That's what you're starting with. Just like I do. And then you're fill stuff in.
Would it be add to negative 2x,
What did you say, negative?
2x,
Okay.
and plus 3?
Let's take a vote. What do you think about Diego's answer? Definitely thumbs up. How do we flip it sideways? Put a negative inside. Whatever number you put on x divides. So if you want to divide by 2, half, then you better put a 2 there. And then that's up 3. Okay. Tell me what the domain is when I build a box from a piece of paper that's 15 by 40. What will be the domain? I have an answer blank, and fill it in. What's it gonna be? 0 to 7.5? What do you think about that? Yep, because it's always 0 to half the smallest. Now, I'm gonna graph this on my calculator. Okay? What is the equation I'm putting in? It's an equation, y equals, or v equals.
40 minus 2x.
40 minus 2x,
Parentheses 15 minus
15
2x.
minus 2x,
Parentheses
x. Length, width, height, 3 things. Make sure you've got 3 things. Okay? I'm gonna graph it. I need to set up my window on my calculator. I know that this is x min, and this is x max. What am I putting in for y min and y max? 0 for the min, always non-negotiable, just like this one. And then what about max? So you put 1,000, and then what's gonna happen? You're either gonna see what you need to see, or you're not. But when you go back and change your window, the only thing you're gonna change is y max. Don't be messing with the rest of this stuff. You're gonna change y max so that you see what you need to see. Always start on a problem like this. Start with something like 100 or bigger. Don't start with 3 because you're not gonna see anything. So start with something like 100 or 200 or 500 or something.
Okay, we're coming to the end of the day. Let us pray and move across like a good.
Everybody listen.
In the name of the Father,